right, welcome back, watch fans. We got a special episode for you today. We have with us, this is something unique. We have a watch artist, but not just a watch artist. Mathew Miller, aka Sunflowerman. I would say is probably the premier horological artist of our age. I mean, I don't know if that's an oversight, but I think it's actually true, and we'll show some of your art, and then let people judge for themselves. But
Yeah.
Mathew, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me, Jack. I'm excited to be here to talk about art, obviously, and watches.
Exactly, and behind you is a work in progress. What do we got? We got a FP Journe.
We've got a FP Journe Chronomet Resonance, kind of around that subscription era of those resonance. So 2000 era, part of a big series I've been working on for too many years, and maybe one day I'll finish them.
Okay, you know what I want to do is I want to show our audience actually some of this is your Instagram page, and this has basically some of what you do. There's some incredible videos we can get into. And I first found you, I think I saw this image, which is like, my favorite watch, the Ellipse.
Yeah.
And this painting that you did, which when I saw this, I was like, wow, this is like, I'll tell you, okay, so this is the painting framed. And, the thing that I got from it is that, you really excel at, I would call it, capturing the soul, the essence of a watch. My background, I think we talked before, we had a quick conversation a while back. I said my background was actually in art. I was an art dealer, and I did everything from, old masters to contemporary, everything. And, the first thing you look at, what's the mark of a great artist is somebody who knows how to handle, light, the effects of light. And that's the key, right? And when I see this painting of this Ellipse, I was like, shit, this guy, this is, or this over here, we got, hang on a second, is this on the screen? We got a, what is this? Is this a Blancpain? Hang on, we got a, what do we have? Is this a Blancpain watch? I think this is,
I think this is the Deep Blue Favluba, because they're relaunching soon.
Okay. Okay. I don't like it. So here, okay, there we go. So it's amazing that it's look there. When you paint anything, right? There's obviously you make a choice of what do you show, what do you focus on, how do you show the light and everything. But that gives it it's really incredible. I just want to quickly just give people a couple of. So we got a Langen Zone in again. Wow. So. And I think I'm going to ask you about your technique in a little bit. I mean, I don't know if you want to give away any secrets, but we see kind of how you do it. But it really is, it's incredible. Like, again, this really is, hang on a second. Let me just show this here. We have this, we got this world time. Now, Mathew, I want to ask you this. When you paint the watch, right, what do you do it off? Do you do it off of a photo, or how do you get this play of light? Do you use your imagination, or is that shown in the image? I mean, you take artistic license. Tell me how this works.
It's a mix. So most of the time, people don't want to send me their $100,000 watches in the mail, so I don't get to have the thing on hand, which is too bad. But they'll send me tons of photos. I'll look up the renderings. Often are online somewhere. Look at videos, and videos are where you're going to capture the best moments of light. You're going to actually understand how the watch, as it's turning in space, is catching light. So then when I go, I'll take it onto the iPad. I'll take, 20 different references, screenshots of a watch, photo of a watch, and then the way I want to portray it, and I'll do a digital rendering of that watch so that I know how I want to approach it on the page. It's usually a pretty loose rendering, but it gives me all it gives me the storyline. Basically, I kind of know where the highlights are going to go, where the shadows are going to go. Even if it's not fully rendered out, I have the template laid out digitally first. But that's based off, video, photo, and digital renderings of the watch itself.
But okay, so what makes what you do, I think, very very special is that it's not about it's sort of it's about, again, getting kind of that impressionist thing, right? You get the
Yeah,
impression of the watch, the essence. It's not about the actual photorealistic reproduction. That's not what you do. It's about
yeah,
capturing kind of the soul of it and the way the light plays with, and also it lets the viewer, when you see the image, it kind of lets the imagination kind of fill in blanks. So it's really, I think it's incredible. It's kind of like, very similar to kind of like, during the Dutch Golden Age, the guys with the still lifes, you see that a little bit of a reflection off of pottery, the little shine of light. Actually, I want to show some, I want to just maybe if you indulge our audience, I want to show something so people
please.
understand exactly what you're doing, what makes it, I think, very special. Hang on a second. Let me just show this. I'm going to show them another. I'm going to show them a different artist, somebody you might know,
Okay.
somebody
All right.
you might. Okay, so this have you ever seen this painting? This portrait of this Van Dyke?
Oh, Van Dyke. Ooh, I don't know if I know this exact one. But Van Dyke is amazing.
So here's the thing, right? It's at the National Gallery in London, right? It's a small painting. Everybody ignores it, right? Because it's there. But what makes this thing special is when you come up close to it, right? And this is like some middle-aged guy, in the 1600s, whatever. But when you come up close, right? Let me zoom in. This is the power of the internet. You get to zoom in.
Oh, right. Oh.
Hang on a second. Okay. So you see, okay. So this is, Matthew, you see what I'm talking about? Like you see that light playing off the guy's eyes, like the moisture of the eyes almost.
Yeah. Love that.
The light.
It's details like that from a Van Dyke, and then the way Caravaggio played with chiaroscuro. Just even the broad strokes of a large amount of light coming into a room full of dark. And then the subtlety of just a hint of highlight to make that eye feel moist. I love both.
But you know what it is. But like to me, like again, like as sadly, I'm kind of, I look at things in a very commercial context. But the difference between $1,000 painting and $1 million painting is just those few dabs, the little gesture of white paint, the little touch that gives like their eye that lifelike thing, right? Nobody else would do this. Like, you see what he did? The guy, like, just a little bit of white paint, a little dab of paint, and also the nose. You see, this thing is like so lifelike, and it captures this guy's essence. And again, it's just a random dude, right? Nothing guy. It's not a beautiful woman, right? It just captures it's incredible. But so I think that, and that's kind of what I think. You do that same type of thing with your art. With when you paint your portraits, essentially you're doing you're like the Van Dyke of horology.
Hey, I'll accept that. I'm not gonna be mad about that.
Yeah, it's what it is, right? You're capturing that essence. Now I want to ask you a couple things. Let's start from the beginning. How did you get into this? Like, where do you live? Like, what's your like? How did you get into this?
Yeah, I grew up in Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan. One of the best places in the world. Loved it to death. But it's kind of small, fairly insular, and in my mind, I had bigger things. So decided to leave, and I moved to Atlanta, Georgia, of all places.
Of all places.
Of all places, it's a great city as well.
A lot of watch collectors in Atlanta. That's like a big watch collector community there. Of all places, it's weird.
The frustrating part for me is I left Atlanta before I ever got into watches, so I never connected with any of them. I think maybe I chat with like the Atlanta Watch Society on Instagram occasionally. But yeah, I completely missed that entire community, unfortunately. Because they've got a great community. They're bringing all sorts of watch. Like, who did they just have down there? Was it Moser or something? I don't remember.
I
But
think
they're
they get
always
different.
made.
Yeah, they get different brands. I mean, they do a really good job of like what the whole kind of engagement. So you moved to Atlanta, and then what happened? How
Moved
did?
to Atlanta, met my wife, we got married, and we decided to live abroad. So we moved overseas for about 4 years, depending on how you want to count it, hopping from place to place every 3 months. With a
Okay,
U.S. passport, you can go most places for 3 months at a time.
right, right.
So yeah, just kind of hopped around. One suitcase was the wardrobe, the other suitcase was the studio. We just kept moving.
Wait, hold on, but were you now? When did you start? When did you start painting, or now were you always interested? Like, how did you get into art? Base? How? What's that? How
Yeah,
that
I mean,
happen?
that's the more important story, isn't it, than the travel? I basically was born with a pencil in my hand. Always been drawing. Drawing is just who I am, whether I want it to be or not. Uh, it was always there. Started painting a little bit in high school. I had a teacher who exposed me to watercolors, and that's obviously everything I do now. Basically, is watercolors. It was more like my first love when it comes to painting is watercolors. Just pencil drawing, that's what I did from birth, since before I had memory. Watercolor is what I fell in love with, and we had a love-hate relationship for a while, and now we're back together again, which is really nice, because now I get to create these paintings. uh, yeah, so then I started doing watch paintings right after I left Atlanta. So my wife and I got married. I started seeing on Instagram. This is 2000. Oh shit, this is gonna it's gonna be about 2020 or 2024 now. 2012. I started doing watch paintings. It's 12 years ago.
Oh wow! Wait. Oh, so you started doing this in 2012?
Yeah, but it was an exploration. I saw all these people
Yeah.
on Instagram who were
Okay.
sharing their photos of watches and just
Yeah.
obsessing over them. And I didn't understand. I never wore a watch. Nobody in my family wore a watch. I had no relationship with a watch at all. But these people were intriguing, and I wanted to understand it more. So I painted 100 watches in 100 days, and I got to know 100 stories of why people love their watches, and that drew me in. That got me from that moment. And so then I just dabbled on and off through the years since then. So it's not been like I started in 2012 and it's just been a race to this point. It's something I've just been dabbling with. Back when IW Magazine was run by Goffberg, I started doing some editorial stuff with them. I went to Baselworld with Time and Tide in 2015, I think. But these were all just like little projects that just kind of happened along the way. I was
All right.
mostly working in menswear, doing fashion illustration. So these were just like ways I could still participate in the community, but I wasn't really all in yet, like
But
I am now.
your main, but when you sort of like your main was your main thing like the fashion illustration? Is that like your main thing, right? Okay, because I see you have you have two Instagrams. One is the watches, and then you have another one which
Yeah,
is like fashion illustration, which is
yeah,
it's in because that's actually I think it's almost like completely. I would think it's completely different because I think with fashion illustration you have to draw very quickly. You have to do it very quickly. It's all very spontaneous, very to capture. Right? Is
yeah.
that?
Well, I'm very stubborn. I like to do things my way, and everything is slow. So when people work with me, they have to deal with how slow I am. But it's I just love the process. Like for me,
Okay.
painting is largely about finding a beginning, a middle, and an end, going through that story, and that experience for me is satisfying. I really don't care about the money, so uh, I haven't really adapted to a very quick form of commercial illustration. I do lots of drawings that are just like quick drawings that are fun, and I share those on social media. People like them, but that's not the stuff that clients actually pay for. So I do quick drawings, but usually the client work is slow, just because it's the process that I love.
So it's the portraits. So what's interesting is this is like you're kind of follow like I never heard of watch portraits. I don't think this type of thing ever existed before. You might be the pioneer of it, just like I think in historically there were people would commission portraits of their horse, the
Mhm.
racehorse. Like the English had a
Yeah,
very long. I think it was George Stubbs. I think he was known for that, or someone. There was no. They would commission portraits of their racehorse, their dog, hunting dogs. This is going back
yeah,
into the Renaissance, and then as things moved on, people would commission portraits of maybe their there was ships. That was a big thing. Ships,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then we got into cars later. But watches has never been done. I'm not aware. I'm not aware of any artist.
When I started 12 years ago, there was one other person, maybe like I'm going to get it wrong. I'm going to say like maybe he was Dutch. I don't remember. There's one other guy kind of doing the same thing, and I have not followed up with him in a while. But now there's probably 10 people doing this work.
There's a couple of I've seen. Look, to be fair, I've seen different people do different things. But it's not the same level, I would say, like what you're doing. It's it's different. It's like anybody can paint or draw, right? Anybody can do something, but there's a difference between, what I could do and, I don't know, Caravaggio, Renoir, whatever. There's a difference, right? There's levels. There's levels to these things. So okay, so you first got interested in this because you saw Instagram. And okay, so social media is a whole nother thing where that in itself is a whole kind of like it's a reflection. Art has always reflected trends in our society and everything. And there's so you see these things on Instagram, and you decide to paint them because explain to me, because the people are passionate about this thing, or what is it exactly?
Yeah, there were really two things I was interested in. So I was in fashion already at that point, and I just assumed watches would be a natural connection to the fashion world. It's like, okay, that just makes sense logically. Let me explore that. But also, people were so passionate, and that blew me away. I didn't understand it. So to bridge the gap between seeing something and trying to understand why anybody else cares about it, I invested my time drawing it. That's an intimate experience for me to kind of explore the depths of something, so I can understand visually what an object is. But then people would share their stories as well. So it was twofold. I'm trying to understand the industries I'm in, fashion, and I thought watches were a natural extension of that. But also just the people who care so much, and that's interesting. I think it was worth exploring then, especially now, because I think the universe of people who are into watches is ever expanding. I don't know if
it's interesting. There's actually kind of like a nexus. Oh, here we go. This is actually a great painting you did, or I'm calling it a portrait of the Rainbow Daytona here. I'm going to try to find. We got the slide. This is really good. But there's actually I think there's a nexus between people who are interested in, let's say, in art and because watches are basically design. It's a design object, right? The best watches are design objects, right? Like, and so I think those, and you're basically bringing in that kind of, it's the kind of that intersection of, the art, the gesture, the artist's gesture, kind of that spontaneous thing with this design, which is really mass produced. It's luxury, but it is mass produced. But it's quite incredible. Hang on, let me bring up. Okay, so we got the Lange painting here. We got. I want to show this Rolex, the Rainbow Daytona. Where is it? Is it further down on the screen?
Yeah, there should be a few videos of it if you keep scrolling down there. But on that point about watches being, to me, they are art, but they're also engineering. So it's math, it's craftsmanship, it's
okay.
design.
So this is Matthew. Okay, so this is the thing, right? So look again. People can paint watches, right? But I don't know who else can paint this, which is that this is you have a close up, and that's one of the gems on the watch, and you can see the light bouncing off, which to capture that is. That's that very, very rare skill and talent. So this is
see this here. So for the gems that go around the Daytona, I mixed every color individually so that I made sure I had the spectrum down before I even started painting that watch. I spent a couple of days just analyzing the colors of those gems, pre-mixing them, partially in case I ever had to paint one again. I would
Oh,
just have
hang on. I'm
them.
sorry. Okay. So that's your that. Okay. So those are your colors there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, the black top doesn't help, but you can kind of see the colors a little bit in there. But I've got, I mean, how many? I've 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. So I have, yeah, probably 24 different colors mixed. I think. Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay. So I have each gem, because each gem, when you look at it, it's got the colors of the rainbow, but they're kind of in sets of 3. And each set of 3 color kind of subtly transitions to the next set of 3 colors. So kind of broke it down that way as I went through.
Okay. So yeah, I actually I didn't even, you know what, I didn't even think about that. But you know, the Daytona actually, is that a very complex painting to do just because of, you know, the, you know, all the, you, because you need to act, you know, really capture all those, you know, colors and tones of all the gems.
Yeah. Yeah. It took, like I said, I think 3 days maybe just mixing the colors so that I had that gradation down before I decided to get started on the final piece. So now if I run into it again, you know, I save myself 3 days for the next time. But yeah, it's complicated, and just it takes the preparation. If I wanted to focus on getting the colors right, there's a
Okay, there we go.
you can see the mixed color there.
Okay.
So I approached it with a bit of a grisaille technique, so laying down kind of a base tones of gray underneath, and then it was a lot easier to lay the color over top and get those variations of light in the gem.
Okay. So that's okay. So how, okay, so okay, I see this. Wow. Okay. So that's how you're kind of able, because you know there is kind of like so you create this kind of underlayer,
Yeah.
and you build on top of that, and that's how, is that kind of how you're able to again get that light technique? Kind of, how do you do that? I don't even, how is it? How is that done?
Getting light in these gems, that alone is its own skill. So people who illustrate, who do jewelry illustration, I have a lot of respect for that work. After having done one of these, like a watch itself is nice, getting the reflections off of a metal casing, but then to also illustrate something where light is passing through and reflecting the things around it, that's an intense skill to have, which I don't think I have quite yet, but I've you know, got a portion of that skill set down now.
No, this is amazing. So here's what I want to ask you. So okay, so for example, this painting, right, for the Daytona, is this a was this a commission, or who was this
this
for?
was a commission. So this one, I had a client come to me and said, we want the Daytona, we want the rainbow. And I was like, okay, sounds great. So they came to me. I did a digital mock-up of it, send it to them for approval, so they can kind of choose the background color and make sure it's positioned right. I mean, there's not a lot to complain about, right? It's just a watch on a background. It's fairly straightforward. But you know, present it all ahead of time so we get approval, and then I just go for it from there. But yeah, that was a client project. Most of this work on here, I think, is all client work. Occasionally, you'll find a watch painting that's just for fun, like the one behind me.
Okay.
Oh, but
Now,
that Moser right there. So the hands, the 4 hands that are on black. Moser did the Vanta Black watch, and they presented it on a Vanta Black background. So I just thought it would be fun to do a life-size painting of the watch just on a black background. I don't know. That was a really fun one. That one was just for my own sake.
Yeah. So wait, so Matthew, who like most of your clients, is it like is it individuals, is it like collectors? They say like, hey, I got a watch, I want to get it. Like, how does that happen? Like, people reach out to you, say, I want a painting of my watch, or who are your clients basically for this?
Usually people just DM me on Instagram. That's the #1 way that it happens. But the clients are either watch collectors. That's about 1/3. It's people who sell watches and want to give gifts to their collectors. That's about 1/3. And then the other third is watch companies themselves, whether it's a live event, if they're promoting a watch they want, or that they're launching. So those are kind of the 3: the collector, the reseller, and then the watch brand.
Okay, so it's really interesting. So again, this is you're kind of, you're in that tradition of those the great artists, whether it was Van Dyke, whether it was George Stubbs, who were basically commissioned to paint, or whether it was whoever the Medici's commissioning, I don't know, Leonardo da Vinci or Raphael, whatever they commissioned to paint different subjects of their hunting dogs or whatever it was, or their portraits, all that stuff. It's amazing. Things have not changed. So I actually found you because I was on Instagram and I saw, we do these collection reviews, and I did a review of a guy called Shani, I think George Shani.
Yeah, Shani Watch.
Shani Watch, who's got this really incredible collection. And I'm doing the thing. I said, and there's a picture of him. I think you painted his watch at an event from Watchbox or 1980, whatever they called it, the 1918 company. What was that all about? 1916
that was just a collector event. A bunch of collectors got together. I think kind of maybe Shawnee was the impetus of that. And they had me out just doing a bunch of drawings of the watches live, which is, so I love this work. This is studio work, so it's all produced. It follows my process. But I'm trying to see if I even have an example of that kind of watching here, which I don't think I have at the moment. Actually, this is a great excuse for me to flip my camera around here for a second.
Okay.
While I'm talking about it, but I'll do this work that's like a 20-minute portrait live at events where people can just hand me their watch and trust me with their $500,000 watch for about 20 minutes, and I'll do a little live portraits, kind of take out a pen, do a drawing, pull out some watercolors, and so then things like this as well, where I just have some fun, right? We have this deconstructed Cartier mono pusher here, also telling us St. George and the Dragon story.
And so for example, I think at that event, let me see. I'm going to see if I can. Find an image. But basically, okay. So what? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to show. Let me just show this. Okay, so this. One second. I'm just going to show the Shani page. So this is okay. So this is what you did. This is his watch on the screen, right? We got his FP Journe, and this is kind of like a what would you call this? This is like a sort of a spontaneous kind of sketch. How do you
That's a great way to say it. Spontaneous sketch. I like that. There's not really a name for it other than just like I'm having fun and I'm at a watch event, so let's do something awesome. And that's pretty much it. So I'm just chilling, have a little pop-up watercolor set. You can see that sitting on the table there. Take that wherever I'm going. And just whatever paints I have on hand, that's the colors I use. So if somebody has a crazy watch, then it's going to look weird, but who cares? It's a fun watch event.
And how now now I'm back to showing your the camera's focused on your desktop now. So what are we looking at right here? What are we looking at?
I mean, right here we're looking at just some pen drawings I've done over the years. I used to do this live drawing experience where I would draw these things live while having a conversation with people on Instagram.
Okay.
I think maybe that was a pandemic experience when everybody was at home, and so I just needed some way to connect with people. So I would do these drawings, and people could suggest like, oh yeah, put a dragon in the background or a sea serpent. I love coffee, so the coffee's floating. I'm a big fan of surrealism. Dali's a wonderful inspiration. So deconstructed, floating, out of perspective, or out of proportion watches.
When you did that event, like the Watchbox event, where you did the Shani's watch, how long does that take to do those like spontaneous, quick sketches like that, like the Shani?
Yeah, those were 20 minutes. So I think I did maybe 10. That I don't know. Okay. I don't know if I got quite to 10, but so it's about 20 minutes. I would do a pen drawing, and then do a splash of color on top of it, something simple. And I think it's fun because people get to drop off their watch for a minute and come back and see a painting of their watch right next to their watch. It's a little bit of magic.
How do you choose how to portray the watch? Because I noticed his watch was kind of like looked very casual, was sort of like laying flat in a way. Like, how do you choose what perspective to use?
Yeah. Well, when it comes to doing a watch, I kind of have this straightforward portrait plan. Like, I'm just going to lay it down. I'm going to try to portray
Okay.
each watch this way as best I can. For my own sake, I can just set a watch down. I can see it. If I start tilting it, then we're playing with perspective. Now I've got to get that oval just right. So if I do it this way, I just have to worry about the geometry. The geometry of the
Okay.
watch, right? It's either a circle or a square, or it's got a cushion case, or they're all pretty basic geometry at this point. I don't have to think too hard about how to approach it when it's laying flat like that. But yeah, when you start tilting it, now we're getting into some weird things that are happening. It's like drawing a face at a 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
It's not that crazy, but you just have to think about it a little bit harder.
So are you gonna draw? Are you gonna paint something for us live? Is that the idea here?
I think we're gonna do something live. I'm trying to decide if we
Okay.
add to the
You know,
sketchbook
I
here.
want to ask you while we're talking. I want to ask you what So okay, so that event that was all FP Journe. It was all like FP Journe collectors.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
is there a particular brand? Like, do you notice? Is there like a? I'm just curious about the psychology of like the collector who commissions a portrait, right? Like, who? What's the? Is it like which brands get the most portraits, or like what's the kind of the psychographic or the demographic, if you will, of who commissions these portraits?
That's a great question. I bet it depends on a lot of factors. For me, I paint a lot of FP Journe, a lot of Langensona, a bit of Kari Voutilainen, which is nice. I those are hard to paint just because there's so much texture involved, and so I half hate myself when I'm doing them. But yeah, I think those are the main ones. And then Rolex is actually not that large, but Rolex is an interesting community, as we all know, because it's so broad. It's so broad. But yeah, I think I mostly paint FP Journe, but my assumption there is FP Journe collectors have a lot of money, one, so they don't mind spending the money for an original painting, but two, like it's the word of mouth. One person gets it and another person says, oh yeah, I want that too. And it's so hard to play in some of these universes, right? If you get one FP Journe, you can maybe get two, you can maybe get three, but trying to get that fourth one, maybe it's a little bit harder. So, okay, I like this particular watch. I have it. I want to add to this universe I'm living in. Let me get a painting of it. Because they have the merch as well, hats or shirts or whatever, right? They get all the things, but they can get something made just for them that's also in that universe. I think it's about building that universe for themselves, and people want to have a new perspective on the things that they love. I want to look at the things that I love in a new way, just like Lord of the Rings has the great live action, and they're about to release this manga version of the War of the Rohirrim. And I'm super excited. I want this new perspective on Lord of the Rings.
I think I'm thinking because the watches. It seems you mentioned FP Journe, you met Voutilainen. What's the other one? But these are kind of like these are more. I don't know if I would use the word artisanal type watches.
Yeah.
Now FP Journe I think is interesting because they do have some with very colorful dials, so there's a lot of you have that opportunity. You have they are a little. I don't know let me ask you, what's your favorite? What's been your favorite watch to paint? I don't know if that's. Are you? I don't know if you could even say that. Maybe I don't. You might insult somebody.
Yeah.
What are your favorite watch? What's your favorite brand or favorite watch model to paint?
Yeah, I mean, somebody might get mad. I think FP Journe is my favorite. There's something about the symmetry, like you see the tourbillon up there right now, the symmetry and the asymmetry at the same time. You have the balanced subdials, but then when subdials popped out, you have the exposed tourbillon on the side. There's something beautiful about that, and then the design language that they use in FP Journe, I think it's fantastic. The numbers, the way that they use the guilloche in I keep pointing at my screen as if people can see what I'm pointing at, because I see the watch painting happening. But just the way it's all balanced out, it moves me. I love it. I feel like I've come to understand it to a degree, and so it feels, when I'm painting a Journe, I guess what's happening now is it feels personal. If somebody asks me to paint a watch I'm not familiar with, it's always nice. I get to explore a new design language. I get to understand a new brand. But I think maybe now at this point with Journe, it feels personal in a way that it doesn't feel with other watches. Like, that's the way I feel about Brew watches as well. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Brew watches.
No.
But they've blown up over the last couple of years. So this is the Brew watches metric chronograph, which is
hang on, let me go back to there we go.
Yeah, one of my favorite watches. Jonathan Fair's the designer. He assembles in the US, but he's developed a wonderful design language. I love coffee. I mean, a lot of people love coffee. And his initial experience while he was freelancing for other watch companies was, I'm going to design in watch shops. And then you get to build community that way. And there's a sense of like, this is my workspace, but it's also a place to escape. And so he was kind of building a design language off of that. And he really blew up once he came up with the metric chronograph. And he's done so many great things since this. And he's based out of New York. So Brew Watch is based out of New York. And I've been working, I want to say with Jonathan, but I've known Jonathan since he started the company. And so painting a Brew watch always feels very personal as well. But I mean, you can get this one. This is $500. Like it's not a Journe, right? In the sense that
it's interesting, right? So you're basically painting watches from that could be $500, could be $500,000.
Yeah. Which that's the way it should be. I think watches. Yeah. You have the one limitation where, like, if somebody's buying a $500 watch, they probably don't have the money to spend for a $2,000 to $6,000 painting.
But you know what? But you know what's interesting on when you see the painting really equalizes the watch, because you can make that watch look just as good as the $500,000 watch. I mean, the painting is like, you can't tell the difference, like the heft or all those tactile things, or all those other.
I haven't thought about it that way. I like that a lot. I like that.
And you can't tell if it's really gold or what. So the painting can equalize any watch. I mean, a lot of designs are beautiful designs on cheaper watches. It's just that they're using cheaper materials and so they can't. It's not going to be the same.
But they don't have the brand recognition, or Yeah,
but when you paint it, it's like, hey, it's. Okay, so you're painting this watch that's right on the tabletop right there.
Yeah. I don't usually get this opportunity.
You're doing a sketch. We're doing a sketch. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if we have time, I'll throw on some watercolor as well. I switched out the sketchbook for the watercolor paper, so it'll we'll be able to play with it.
Now, we don't want to be crass or anything, but if somebody wants to commission a portrait of their watch. What is that? What kind of dollars are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, we start around $2,000. Well, we start around $1,500. But I've been exploring with two different styles. So the things that you've seen, like the watch, the Journe behind me, is a studio painting, and that's I usually take about like 6 weeks to accomplish something like that. Mostly because I'm trying to give the detail as much attention as I can, but the point of my paintings is not to look like a photograph, but I also want to give the details their due, but then I also
the
verisimilitude. There we go. Exactly. But I've recently started doing a series of watch paintings that take 3 days. And they're really, I call that the sauvage paintings. They're kind of quick and wild. It's technically the same process as the studio paintings, but I cut corners, which sounds I actually love how that sounds, because I'm cutting some corners, we're cutting out some of the detail, but what we're capturing is just the essence of a painting. Is that watch.
And this is listen, this is Matthew, you're following in the footsteps of Impressionism, right? They were criticized, it was a Monet, all those. They were criticized for basically people said, "Oh, these are unfinished paintings." When they first exhibited, people said these are unfinished paintings. These guys are cutting corners. But the genius of it was that they just showed the essence with as little as possible. I guess almost minimalist. I mean, whatever, and let the imagination, fill in the details, which is what people love to this day, right? It's the color and the whole thing. Okay, there we go. So we're seeing the case come to life. We're seeing the that's.
We've got the integrated bracelet starting to come to life here. So this is actually this kind of process right here with these ink pens like this. It's slightly different because I have the camera gear and everything in the way. But this is kind of that same process you were showing with the shiny watch, the FP Journe. Like it's getting this experience where we're moving quickly, we're kind of scribbling in some of the details just so we can make sure that they're there, even if they're not expressed completely.
So people basically they see you on Instagram, they want to get a portrait. Like, if a guy has a Journe, he contacts you, and he basically sends you a photo. Or I guess emails you a photo, or and it goes from there. You can just paint off of a photo.
Yeah. So usually what happens is someone's like, I have, let's just say the metric chronograph. I'm like, okay, awesome. Let's go for it. I'll send you a digital rendering of like the color I'm going to use, maybe where I'm going to place the lighting on it. We can move the hands in any direction that we want, right? So even if it's not literal.
I didn't even think about that. He could basically choose the date, whatever date he wants. It could be, you could do whatever. The sky's the limit. Perspective.
Perspective. I usually try to keep perspective as literal as possible for most conversations. Because once you start playing with it, I will say people have great imaginations, but they don't always know how to use them. So I like to play with perspective, but it's not always something that people are ready for. So I try to keep the conversation as literal as possible until I get to know somebody well enough to know if they want something that's pushing the boundaries a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I don't know if we've seen any of the boundary pushing illustrations on my feed there. But like the sketches that we saw at the very beginning.
One other thing that you do is also you include, you can go just beyond the watch. So example, here we got on your Instagram page I'm showing. So we got something from, you got this kind of surrealist thing with the brew. There's the brew, and there we go. Okay, so it's so you can mix in portraits of people, the actual. Oh, there we go. There's a watch. That's pretty nice. Okay, look at this. Okay. There we go. All right. So and I think you had one, let's see here. So, kind of the sky's the limit, but I would say it's best to really stick to the basics, right? Just stick to the portrait, in other words, let that capture the sort of, that should be, I think or at least a good start.
It's a great start. I have friends who work in the fashion industry. They make and they sell suits. And they'll have clients come in who want the craziest patterns, the craziest colors.
Okay.
Like, wait a minute, do you have a navy suit? Because actually, that's going to serve you very well. Yeah.
Exactly. Right.
It's that approach.
Same thing. Right. Like, when you getting a suit made, the sky's the limit. There's a million fabrics to choose from, a million cuts, so you can do whatever. But you want to stick with something that's start with the basics. And then maybe work your way up. Start with something simple. We're really like, I think a great tailor. It's really the cut that makes the suit, right? You want a fabric that shows off the cut in the best way possible, right? So I think if somebody commissions you to do a painting, they should stick with the basic, which. I think that's kind of lets you show off your technique the best way possible, the straight on portrait.
Yeah, or at least let's start the conversation there. We'll do a digital rendering, and then if you're like, wait a minute, I want something that's way more interesting and specific to me, then let's go from there, right? But we start from the basics. We start from the beginning.
The basics, yeah.
And we move on from there.
Exactly. So now what now okay now so you also work with brands, right? Brands contact you, and what do they use your art? And do they use it in advertising, or where do they use it?
I mean, so much of that these days is social media. So they'll just
Okay.
want content. It's
Okay.
everybody needs content, you know. But I'm glad I get to participate a lot of the time. Um, it's mostly around new product launches as well. So then occasionally I'll get to see a watch coming out just before everybody else. They're sending me the renderings and the photos, and I get to explore that piece. Sometimes I'll get like even the display watch, so not the real
Okay.
working one, but they'll send me, you know, the case with a strap on it,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
so I can get a sense of it. So that I love that aspect of getting to work with brands
Yeah.
on
By the way,
uh,
you know what's
projects.
something? There's something funny. You're in Texas, right?
Yeah,
You're where in Texas are you?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
I've actually never been. I actually got to go because they have a great museum. And is it the Manila Museum? They have a few really good museums in
oh yeah,
Dallas
Fort Worth.
area.
I mean, Dallas has some great museums. Fort Worth itself has three world-class museums all within a couple blocks of each other: the Kimball Art Museum,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Modern Art Museum, and the Amon
I
Carter Museum.
I definitely have to go. No, Texas actually has. If I remember, most of my clients were either from Texas,
Okay.
California, usually like LA area, and Miami, some New York. But those were like the big. Texas, was disproportionately
Yeah,
I had a lot of art buyers in Texas.
I believe that. Look, oil money can get you a lot of things.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Texas has, I don't know, they have a real appreciation. They like more traditional stuff. They have a more traditional taste. They have more, but I think they're getting more into there's more of a contemporary thing, but they like kind of classical type stuff.
Yeah, I
Which,
would agree with that. That lines up, especially with the museums we have here, like the Amon Carter and the Kimball are much more traditional. The modern brings in some great modern artists, like Cause has been exhibited here. They brought
Cause, yeah,
Harmony
cause.
Peace.
It's interesting. Cause, actually, I think I don't know. What do you think of cause? Do you have an
Well,
opinion, or maybe
I,
it would be politically? You can't say anything about other art. I'll give you my.
look,
I think
I
he's.
have what I like, and then there's other things that I can appreciate because they exist, even if I don't like
Yeah,
them.
I would
Uh,
say the thing what makes it good. I'll tell you something interesting. Uh, I was in Paris about a year ago. I walk into the gallery. I think it was a Tamanaga gallery. Do you know it's on Tamanaga, which is they're
okay,
actually based in Japan originally, but they sold a lot of impressionist art in the 70s. I think in the 70s in Paris and Tokyo. And
okay,
yeah, I walk in there and there was a guy. I'm trying to think. There was there was an artist that I followed. Was it Paul Ice Pires, artist from the 60s to the 80s. He did a lot of
okay,
stuff. And I started talking to the guy who was sitting there. I think he's the director. He was a director or something. And they also sold a lot of Bernard Buffet back in the day in the 80s,
nice.
from the 70s, 80s. Who's making a big comeback, by the way. Bernard Buffet is making a
Ooh,
big comeback. Yeah, yeah. He's and you know what's funny? Like I remember when I first saw Bernard Buffet, a lot of people are familiar with like his clown paintings or some of the other stuff. But this guy, if you see some of his stuff, like wow, he had a lot of depth. Like wow, and like now when I saw like a lot of his stuff, like a lot of even the landscapes, he was actually considered in the 60s, in the early 1960s, I believe, more important than Picasso in France. We're talking about in France,
ooh,
right?
okay, okay, okay.
He was considered like the most important artist of his day. I mean,
Mm,
in circa 1960, we're talking about like at that time, Picasso was kind of, he was kind of on the decline. I mean, the styles were changing. You had the New York school, you had the abstract expressionists, all that stuff. But still, but Bernard Buffet was considered like the most important artist of his day. But the mistake he made was, he started making money and he really enjoyed having why not? Why not have a good time, right? And
yeah.
there was an infamous photo of him published in a magazine of him standing in front of his Rolls Royce in the south of France.
Okay.
And the French went crazy. They were like, because they're kind of they're a little bit anti-capitalism,
Sure.
and they said, "Oh, he's a sellout to this and that," and that basically it destroyed his career.
Really?
Yeah, that photo of him standing in front of his Rolls, that he worked hard. The guy worked hard. I mean, to get there, right? And all these artists make money. I mean, look, Picasso, these guys making serious money, right?
Yeah.
It took him a while, and he went downhill. People he was kind of in the garbage up until about 8 years ago. All of a sudden, people, he's been dead for 20 years, and now there's kind of there's a retrospective. Anyway, so the Tamanaga Gallery, I walked in, and the guy says, "Look, this guy Ais Piri, he got really good because he became friends with Picasso in the 60s, and Picasso told him the secret to art." Right, here it comes. Here's the thing, which this blew me away. He said, "Look, the secret to becoming commercially successful is simple forms and use of bright colors. Simple form, bright colors."
Okay. Yeah, that rings true.
And you know what? And you look at what that guy was doing with this Ais Piri. All of a sudden, his paintings got brighter, and those are the more popular paintings. And if you look at Picasso, the ones that people want, they want they want simple forms, on bright colors. People don't want to. I think the eye gets, maybe the eye gets what is it? The eye gets fatigue or whatever. But I think with KAWS, his thing is he's got very simple forms, right? Very simple,
yeah,
and very bright colors. These very bright, like childlike colors. So it's a very, it appeals to everybody, right? It's commercial. It's very, it works. It works. So okay, so here we go. So we got the brew watch, and we got a hand. Okay, there we go. Okay, so you're choosing to make the hand. You have an interest. Okay, so you're kind of playing around with it, like a very little bit of this kind of surrealist vibe, right?
Oh yeah. Oh, I love getting to play with force perspective, or just messing with proportion.
Yeah.
Well, I remember being in figure drawing class, and my professor was like, "Matt, you're really good at drawing, but all these heads are the wrong size." I'm like, "Oh, are they really?" Let's just
no, that's their opinion. That's your thing. That's your thing. That's your thing, is to have the heads different.
Yeah,
that's your trademark. That's your look.
I appreciated the advice, and I understand the importance of figure drawing class. You're there to understand how to do a specific thing, drawing the form proportional to the person who's actually there. That's all well and good, but yeah, like this is way more fun, and it has a formalism to it that I think it makes it feel right.
Oh, I see what you did. You made like this. Okay. That's great. That's really good. The line is, you drew a really good line. Wow.
Ooh, drawing a good line. Honestly, if that's on my tombstone, he drew a good line. God, I would love that so much.
Wow.
Yeah, I look at other, like, lots of illustrators out there who use pen or draw lots of lines, and really the ones I respect are the ones who have a confidence. Really, you can tell the quality from my perspective, right? Like in any industry, you have the artist, right? Not the one who's widely commercially successful, but the one everybody else is like, that guy knows what he's doing. But the ones that I really like are the ones who have confidence.
Yeah.
I'm going to switch out this battery real quick.
What did they say? They said about Picasso. He was, the master of the line, right? His drawings are incredible. I mean, this guy could just one line, like without. Incredible. I mean, it was like something people I don't think people appreciate, but that was like his. I don't think anybody else been able to do that. Okay, here we go. Wow. Okay. By the way, it's interesting. There's I was saying you're in Texas, in Dallas. Do you remember there was a guy who blew up on social media? It was at Anthony Farrer.
Oh my gosh, yeah. What an interesting
Timepiece
time
gentleman.
on the internet. Yeah, it was what is it? The Watch Gentleman, maybe, or Gentleman
Timepiece
Watches?
gentleman.
Okay,
Timepiece
yeah,
gentleman.
that's
Yeah.
it.
So,
Yeah, I never met him. He was
but here, do you
correspondent.
know? But do you know what the story? Okay, so he apparently, well, there was a big whatever. It was like a kind of a Ponzi scheme in a way, and he's sitting in prison right now. He's waiting trial, and he's been reaching out. He reached out to one of these guys on one of these watch channels, and he's a bit of look. The guy was a good hustler. I mean, he really is like
Right.
and he's doing. He told him he's going to be doing art. He's doing painting, drawing.
Okay.
And that's how he's going to pay back the victims. So I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'm curious to see if the guy is any good because you know what? I thought maybe the guy may, you never know, right? I was a little concerned because like his logo that he had for the time, it wasn't a very good logo. So I was like, man, this guy, he doesn't really have such good taste in the logo, so maybe he's not that good. But I was still like, look, the jury is out. The jury's out because shit, maybe this guy is like, I don't know, some sort of genius. And wait, but then we saw the drawings. Okay, so the other night,
I didn't miss it.
the other night, there was a live stream, and the guy he shipped him the drawings from prison. So I gotta give the guy credit for, being productive. Very optimistic guy, this Anthony. Anyway, so he sent the drawings. The drawings, they were not that good. They were they looked like kind of like these, street, these guys who sit by Central Park, the Chinese guys who do the portraits in the street for like $20,
Sure.
the charcoal drawings. I mean, it looks very deep, but it's like very, he does it off a photo, but it was not like, I was kind of disappointed. I was hoping it would be like, wow, this could be, and now he's painting, and now he's, doing drawings of like, he went from having, the Audemars Piguet and the Richard Milles. Now he's drawing a Casio digital watch on his wrist. That's it's kind of sad, but that's all right. So this is okay. So we got.
It's very interesting on the internet right now. There's been this kind of adulation or adoration of the artists on social media, and it's a good way to kind of build a name and a reputation if you can be consistent. It doesn't matter if you're good or not, but if you're consistent, you can get some attention around your work. And I think there are a lot of people who've been in like the influencer space or fashion or some part of an industry where they had attention, they lost it, and they're trying to get it back. And I've seen so many people switching to becoming artists. Like their entire thing now is I'm a painter, I'm a drawer. Like that's who they are now. And
that's kind of
it's kind of amazing. And I didn't know this about the Timepiece Gentleman, but it makes so much sense because when you look at, I don't know, this is a great example for this conversation, but George Bush turned into a painter, but that's a great way to transition your reputation.
No, but you know what? There have been politicians who've painted, right? I mean, Hitler was an artist. He wasn't that good. I mean, you see his paintings, they're very basic. But Churchill, have you seen Winston Churchill's paintings?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, amazing. Really? He did these impressionist stuff. Amazing. I mean, So Churchill's paintings sell for $1 million plus, $2 million.
Really?
He gets big because he did. I mean, his stuff looks like he was painting stuff, these landscapes in Morocco, somewhere in North Africa, with these beautiful color, the light of the he did incredible. No, Winston Churchill was a legitimate artist. Like if he did it seriously, he could have been like big. I mean, he legitimately, he gets big money. He's, Bush is, I don't know. He's okay. I mean, it's amateur, whatever. It's funny. It's fun. He does it for fun. It's a fun. He's like, he's having a good time. But Churchill was a legitimately great painter.
Okay. I'm gonna have to look that up. I actually not even heard that. That's interesting.
Yeah, no, he's got some. Okay. Oh, I love it. The guy's drinking an espresso.
Gotta have that espresso.
But I saw in your thing. So you do what you do. You have a big thing where you go to what is it, PT Uomo, right? That's every year
Yeah, I
you
mean,
go
it
there.
happens in January and June every year, so it's twice a year. I try to go to every show, but yeah, I'm usually there hanging out, trying to draw interesting people.
And I would think that's actually you have some good subjects there, right? Because
Oh yeah.
the great subjects, right? I mean,
Oh, great
by the way, so
subject.
in your pictures, I mean, you yourself have a really great sense of style. I mean, like that's impressive.
Oh, I'm a try hard for sure. I don't know if I have a great sense of style,
No,
but
no, no,
I'm
no,
a
no,
try
no, no,
hard.
no, no. No. You don't come across as a try. No, 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 no. The hats. No, that's like you do a mix and match with you got some vintage. No, that's no. You got an innate sense of style. And there's a big
I
difference. There's a big difference between having style and spending money on something. It doesn't. You can't.
That's
You
for sure.
can't buy
That's for sure.
style. Sadly, you can't. So this is the
I
espresso. This is from.
yeah.
This is in Florence. Is this in Florence? Somewhere. This
Yeah.
Wednesday.
Yeah, just a little hop around Italy, stop in Florence, grab some espresso.
Oh
Uh,
wow, this is what a perspective. Oh, now I see what you did. Oh, now I see what you did. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, I see this. This is like a tabletop looking up, almost like from
mhm,
perspective. Oh, I see. Kind of like, wow, that's a crazy perspective. Oh my
right?
God.
I wasn't entirely sure where I was going to go with it, but it went
How did
somewhere,
you
and
come?
I
Wait,
like it.
did you have this? Okay, all kidding us. No, okay. Did you have this planned out, or you just did this like like? How did you come up with this?
I just decided. Well, I mean, if you look at some of my live drawings, they have a similar theme to them. But yeah, I didn't know what I was
Okay.
going to do. But I know Brew Watches is about coffee, and I love
Okay.
coffee. So there we go.
Okay. And
So we
the
had a theme
lapel,
there.
by the way, the lapel, you did the lapel really well. The lapel looks great.
Ooh, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a decently sized lapel there. Can't go with the
Yeah.
skinny lapel these days.
No. I was always a fan of broader lapels. I was, I was,
I have to say that
I like,
you have a nice lapel there. That's a
yeah.
very Italian.
It is, yeah. No, this is Italian. Yeah, it's Neapolitan. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
No, I like. No, but no, the way I know you capture the lapel is like shit. This guy knows how to draw. That's the lapel is important, right? It's like,
Oh, it's very important, especially I mean, and it really tells a lot about your sense of style. Like yours is very clearly Neapolitan versus an American or even a British lapel.
yeah, no, the very, and it's okay. So there's a huge difference between the English cut, like the English. It's it's
Oh
totally
yeah,
different, right? It's a different world. It's like it's different, wholly different thing. I mean,
right. And
it's
then you go to Savile Row, and then you have all the house
yeah,
cuts. So you have like a traditional
yeah.
English cut, and then you've got your house cuts. Yeah, they get
Did
intense
you ever
about it too.
did you ever meet Edward Sexton in London?
I did not meet Edward Sexton. I've been to the shop, I think, but I have not met him.
Do you know who you're talking about, right? Edward Sexton, the guy, right?
Yeah, the suit maker. Yeah.
Yeah, so, right. So I had a suit made by Edward Sexton, right? When he died a few years ago, right? He died. This guy had incredible style. I mean, and the guy was. Here's the thing, it's hard. He was like a short guy. He was like maybe 5'3" or something. I don't know, very short.
Right?
The guy looked amazing. I mean, the guy dressed like. It's hard to look good when you're short. Like I'm a short guy. It's hard to clothes look better when you're like 6 foot or something. It looks kind of whatever. But this guy had incredible style. He made suits for Mick Jagger and the whole thing, right? And the guy had like an incredible like sense of proportion. And he told me, he says the Italian suits it does nothing because the shoulder on the Italian suit it's a natural. It's kind of a natural. It's not dramatic, right? It's not dramatic. It doesn't have the thing. He goes, it does nothing. The guy was right. To be honest, he's right. It's his shoulder. It's got the roping. It makes you put on that English suit. It's like you're wearing like a suit of armor. Like you could, you're like Lord Trafalgar. You're ready to take on the Spanish Armada. Like that's what you feel like when you're wearing that Savile Row suit. but
For
it's kind
sure.
of a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit. What's the word? Yeah, it's very formal though. It's a little formal for most occasions. It's a little bit, or in most climates also. It's like,
Which
but
explains
that
why
guy,
the Italian style has become so ubiquitous, because it is about like, I want to throw this on and look
easy.
great, but I want to walk out the door and feel good.
It's
That's an
yeah,
Italian
it's very
style.
yeah, it's very easy to wear. But he was right, Sexton. It's not flattering. It's not flattering as it's kind of like it's not as it doesn't give you that James Bond look. It doesn't make you look like a
Yeah.
movie star.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
old Cary Grant. It doesn't give you that. It makes you
yeah.
look what's the word? Louche. Louche. Yeah, it makes you look sort of slightly. I don't know what's the slightly.
Look,
Slightly.
I'm a big fan of the Italian style, if I'm being honest. But there's a distinctive difference for sure between the way you come across wearing a British cut versus an Italian cut.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a different presence.
Completely. Yeah. It's yeah. But the Italian suit you put on you, it's very it's whatever. Yeah. But so this is okay. So this is we got a scene here somewhere. This is somewhere in Florence, right? Somewhere by
Oh yeah, I mean, now we got a croissant here because why not?
Oh, you're in Paris here. We moved. We moved.
Oh, that's right. It's a cornetto. Sorry, it's a cornetto because we're in Florence.
I don't like the Italian pastries. I'm not a fan of their pastries actually.
Look, you're gonna have a lot of people coming for you because I'm gonna agree with you, and I'm gonna double down and say Italian coffee is just average coffee. They invented the espresso, and then they said we're done. We're never going to do anything more. The rest of the world moved on. But yeah, their pastries, their coffee, it's just it is what it is.
Yeah. It's sort of, I don't know. It's you got to I don't think anybody does. I don't maybe like the Danish, but the French know how to bake. I mean, they do incredible pastries. I think Danish. I've never been to Denmark, but I think they do very good. But I think it's the water. It's the whole. It's no the whole you have a croissant in Paris at the right place. It's like it rules everything.
Yeah, it'll change your life.
What's very important. Matthew. What's very important. What's very important. No, this is definitely in Italy because you got the glass of water there. You got the glass of water on the side.
And then this next step, it could be anywhere in Europe. I don't know if this will get you censored on YouTube though.
Oh, you can't. I think no, on TikTok. On TikTok they don't want you showing smoking. It's great. I tell you, it's such a pleasure to. It's such a pleasure to be able to sit outside, smoke a cigar, and have a coffee or whatever. It's and watch the world. It's like, wow. He's got the pack of cigarettes.
He's living his best life out here.
Shit. Listen, everything in moderation is good,
I'm down with it. You only get to live one life. You probably won't live as long as the next guy. Try to enjoy a little bit here and there.
Oh, wow. Now, what is that next? And what's on the right? What's on the right of the what? What is that? What's that? Is like a dish?
That's a little saucer for the espresso, and then a spoon.
Oh, okay. There we go. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. He's having a whole experience out here. Oh, what we ought to add back here is the top of the Duomo.
Oh shit.
I only remember so much of it, so this might not be exactly accurate.
Oh shit. Yeah. Oh wow. Oh my god.
You know what? This is actually the most fun I've had just doing a fun sketch in a minute.
This brings me back. This brings back like, I feel like it transports me in time. I want to go back and have one of those bistec Fiorentina.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, now we're definitely influenced. Ferrum Bistecca, yeah. Look at that. Ooh, this guy's having a grand old time.
That's a very Italian type of watch. That's the type of watch like Italians would wear. They like that type. It's got a little style to it. It's got it's yeah, good value. It's got that vibe. It's got flair. It has flair.
It's got it's just, the sense of sprezzatura. It's right there.
That word has been so overused. It's hard. I don't want anybody to say everybody, but it has. It does have that.
I mean, it's like bespoke. Bespoke now, that's overused. Sprezzatura.
No.
What's a watch term that's overused in that way? I'm trying to think of.
Everything is these days. Everything gets too. These days, so many things get like. It's terrible. But yeah, I don't know. What I found is I find the watch it's very like the watch channels. People they take themselves too seriously. I think like. They very like too seriously. I mean, like they're I don't know, curing cancer or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, have you? There's a young one of the words I'm saying. A group of young guys out of Geneva, and they started they resell watches, but they started a media company called Heist Out.
Okay, I heard of this. I heard of it. What do they do exactly?
They sell watches, and they started creating media around it. I think probably just to promote the fact that they sell watches. It's all secondhand, but their watch advertising, the content they're doing, completely unserious. I think the creators are very serious about making something great, but the content is like it's subverting this sense of seriousness in the watch industry. It's a nice breath of fresh air.
Yeah, I think they did something. I think was it with Sotheby's or somebody? They did some.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, I'm trying to remember. It was like Geneva Watch Days, or is that happening now? It was some event not that long ago. Yeah, they were just doing an auction, like a cave or something.
Yeah. No. I think the watch. No, people. I mean, it's people like the industry takes itself very seriously. And the collectors, some of the collectors, like whatever. And there's a lot of this like very they're like these fanboys of like Rolex, Rolex, or Omega, the whatever, or this or that, and they have only certain type. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an interest. Listen, it's kind of like I think people they graduate from I don't know, collecting baseball cards or comic books. They move on to the next. They take it seriously, whatever. What is? I want to ask you this: what is when you're painting a watch? What's the most important thing for you to capture, or what's the most like? What are your priorities?
When I'm painting a watch, light is my priority. The biggest problem I have, this is a slight tangent, of working with brands, is they absolutely reduce the watch down to its design elements. And that to me is...
They want realism? They want something photorealistic, basically?
I mean, yes and no. What they want is they want the digital rendering without any sense of reality around it. They want all of the design, but they don't want the way the light is hitting off of right here. I want to capture that light. I want to know when
that light is they're missing the point. They're missing the whole point then. That's the whole...
but yeah, that's and like that Protect the ellipse, the one that you like so much, it has a cinematic quality to it. It's almost as if the light is setting across it.
Yeah, I mean the difference is, when you see a picture of a watch or whatever, or your work, I mean your work basically is alive. It's lifelike. It's alive, right? Shows you the watch in like a life, like the way your eye sees it. Like there's a whole science. I mean, like I can't articulate this, but the art. David Hockney.
Yeah.
So David Hockney, he's actually written a bunch of. Yeah, he's written a bunch of books, like where he talks about like painting techniques, the way the art, the science of the way the art see. Like he guy's very like he's really like a very intellectual guy. Like I mean, like he's
Okay.
and I think the way what is it? The way what's you know, in other words, your painting is kind of the way the eye wants to see something. Like it doesn't capture every like because
Mm,
there's like trillions and trillions of details. And our eye doesn't really focus on, we only focus on like whatever the mind, I don't know if I'm
yeah.
articulating, but less is
I,
more basically. Less is more. It's not about the photorealism. It's about, sort of imagination and okay, there we go. Oh, we're gonna apply some color. Is that what's gonna happen?
we're gonna do a little bit of color. I don't know how far we're gonna get. We'll see.
Okay.
We'll play around with it a little bit. Winsor & Newton brushes. I love these so much.
Okay.
Probably go mostly with grays. Oh yeah, there's a little more water over here. My water in the corner. You can't see that. The way I set up the tripod, I can't zoom out any further, which is unfortunate. I want to show a little bit more of the
Okay.
space. But, this is what we got at the moment.
So I'm sorry. I went off on a tangent. So the most important thing for you is to capture the light. Those are your priorities. So light, capturing the light, the way it falls on the watch, and then what?
Oh, then from there, it's how do I give the details their due with the process? I obviously love the details, even if the details are not like the photorealism isn't the point, but I want to make sure that the details get to shine. So I try to, the way I approach doing a human portrait, right? Or even like think of a caricature artist. They're going to focus on the specific elements that kind of make you, and then focus on those things. Where I'm not trying to necessarily accentuate those things, but I'm trying to focus on those things first. So you get the things that make the watch the watch. Like
The soul. You're capturing
yeah,
the soul.
capturing the soul. Give the details their due, and then you focus on the light. I mean, those are the two things. What I love about
Okay.
the full process of my paintings is I start off with chaos, and then I refine from there. So if you go to the watch videos and you see the water color falling down the page and dripping down the page,
Oh, yeah.
we're starting with chaos. We're setting the stage where the watercolor is going to do what it wants to do, and then from there we refine, we taper, we bring some formalism back to the watch painting. Oh yeah, there we go. There's the chaos. It's just pigment flowing down a body of water that's on the page. And I like that. I like it because our world is chaos, right? We live in the midst of chaos. Everything is coming out of chaos. And in this chaos, we're creating, I say we, I like to think I'm a part of the watch industry, even though I don't design them or make them. But as humans, we're taking this chaotic material everywhere, and we're smashing it into these objects that just have so much precision and purpose. It doesn't make sense, and yet it's beautiful and amazing, and it's very human. But I like the process that I'm working on is hopefully reflecting that idea. We're really starting with chaos and then
That's a great hat, by the way. That's a great hat. Do you have a matchstick in there? You have a matchstick in there?
No, yeah. I does not have a matchstick. There's the I can't remember the guy's name over in California who makes those.
I know you got matchstick.
There's a guy here in DFW called the Heart Hatter, and he makes these crazy hats. I'm a pretty conservative person, so he made a really basic hat for me, but he put a little paintbrush in the side, kind of like the other guy does the matchstick. A paintbrush and a needle.
So he made this hat.
Yeah, he made this hat for me. And there's a paintbrush.
That's a paintbrush. Because you're moving. This thing is so fast. I thought it was a match. Okay, it's a paintbrush. Okay.
Wait, give me 2 seconds.
Okay. No, I like this. You got the nice. That's a really good hat. I mean, he's got the nice wide band. Shit.
Yeah. So he goes by the
Oh,
heart
there we go.
pattern.
Oh, wow. The top is that's crazy. Hang on a
Yeah.
second.
So
That is crazy.
the cap is the shape of a heart. That's kind of where he starts from. This has the needle. Oh, you can't see there. The needle that was used to sew the thread in the band. And then because I go
Okay.
by Sunflowerman, he did these little sunflower details.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what's interesting?
Uh,
Texas
yeah.
actually that's a hat making, there are, cowboy
Oh,
hats,
yeah.
Texas.
So many
Oh my
hats
God.
made and sold here. Yeah. But
Okay.
this is my
Hold on a
number one
second.
hat.
One thing I forgot to ask you, the most important thing. What
Oh,
is a
all right.
sunflower man name? What does this mean? What does this mean,
Oh,
sunflower man?
yeah. Well, I've had that name since I was 10 years old. I was at a summer camp in Michigan. We had to do a skit one day, like in a skit class. Don't really know why. But we had to pull, they had a bag just full of stuff. And the idea was you pull an item out of the bag and you would make a skit out of it. So 10 years old, I love superheroes. And I reach into this bag and I pull out a shower curtain covered in a sunflower motif. And so I draped it over my shoulders. I tied it off and I became Sunflower Man.
Oh,
Uh,
that's fun.
yeah. And my name is Mathew Miller. So thousands of people have my exact name. So Sunflower Man was just the
Uh,
way I could be me.
okay.
Yeah. And I'm
Oh my.
part Dutch, so it works out.
Wait, if you're Dutch, so you must be very tall, right? The Dutch are known for being the tallest in the world. Is that right?
Well, part Dutch, I didn't get the tall part. But yeah, they are. I think they have the highest average height in the world. Yeah, I didn't get that part. My family they immigrated too early.
That's funny.
That's probably not true, but
So how long now? How long have you been in Fort Worth?
Fort Worth. I've been here for 6.5 years.
Okay,
That's crazy
okay.
to think about. Yeah, it's long enough now. It's basically home, but ready to transition to a new home. That would be nice.
That's interesting because you're originally from Michigan, then you
Yeah.
traveled all over Europe, then you ended up in Fort Worth. Why Fort Worth of all places? Like of all places, why there?
Yeah. My wife was from here originally, so it just
Okay,
makes
okay,
sense.
that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
There's family
I thought it was like
here.
random. I'm going to choose Fort Worth of all,
Yeah,
okay, okay,
yeah. I
okay.
don't think people accidentally just choose Fort Worth, unless they have a map and they're just throwing darts. But I think they would be like, you know what? Actually, I'll go to Dallas. I think this dart it landed on Dallas.
No, Dallas. I mean, no, Texas is very. It's a very ascendant now. There's the whole
It really
economy.
is.
Everything is. Yeah, it's Elon Musk is there now. Where is he? In
Oh
Austin,
yeah,
I think.
yeah. Down in Austin, yeah. Lots of
So
companies are.
Texas is kind of the new California, but it doesn't have the landscape and the weather. That's the problem.
That
It
is
doesn't. You
that is
can't
the
beat.
big problem.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
beat the the weather.
the California coast, oof, so nice.
No,
Uh,
it's
yeah, I mean that's why growing up in Michigan, like we didn't have heat like this. We had the humidity, but not the heat.
yeah, the cold, the frigid. The winter is the winter is probably brutal because you got
Oh, winters are
the
yeah, definitely brutal, but I love it.
the winds
That's
from
what I need more
Canada.
of.
So what are you painting? No, what is there's some yellow? I notice there's a touch of yellow there.
Yeah, so in the watch itself,
Oh, I
the
see. Okay, okay. There's
yeah, it's
a
hard to see when
spectrum.
it's down there. So the
Mm.
it's a green
Oh,
ring on the outside and then a little bit of yellow. And the idea is when you are making your espresso, the ideal time to pull your shot of espresso is between 25 and 35 seconds, right? It depends on the where it was poured, how you
oh,
roast it, how you're brewing it. So yeah, so this one is set up so you can track. And
oh, that's what it's about. Oh, that's their whole thing.
Yeah,
It's a tool watch. It like literally is a tool watch for
yeah.
baristas.
So now I can say, oh,
Coffee.
actually, this espresso is best at 28 seconds. Okay, now I know my pull is done. So I use this all the time for making espresso.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Okay.
So yeah, it
Okay.
has
So
the
it's legitimate.
yellow.
It's a real tool watch. Okay.
It's a fantastic watch. I mean, I don't think all of the watches are specifically intended to be tool watches, but this one was designed with that idea in mind.
No, it doesn't. No, listen, it's like the Rolex. What do they have? The Yachtmaster, the one that was made for timing regattas, racing, and
Oh,
some
you're
weird
right.
like, which is I think the ugliest watch ever made. But but it's like very complicated. It's like how many people on the planet are timing, racing, regatta boat races? How many
A
people
handful,
would need to
maybe.
watch? Like literally, it's got to be, I don't know, 30 people. I don't know. It's
Well, you'd be surprised. There's a guy here who worked for the Fourth Opera who his whole thing is racing sailboats, like
yeah.
little yeah. So I bet he would wear one and find some use for it
Okay.
probably.
Okay.
I
Interesting.
don't know how he did that here in Fort Worth, but
They have lakes there, right? You can race on lakes. You got some winds.
yeah, I bet you can probably practice racing on lakes. I have no idea. Not really. Not really. So okay, tell me more about this channel, what you're hoping to get out of it. Is this about building community around watches?
Okay, wait. Oh, you're interviewing me now. We're doing a brand.
I just put the script.
So the Watch Reporter channel, I guess the idea is, I think there is a place for, I guess my idea is to have content on, I don't know, it's called like kind of serious watches, but with a kind of a market focus, right? So, I mean, I'm a little bit shallow. I'm interested in watches, but I look at watches from a design perspective. I mean, the mechanics of it is important, because that makes it, legitimate. But yeah, I'm interested in watches from the design perspective, and to me, it's important because look, these things can be expensive, right? And it's like I want to, I look at this as kind of like something where I want to know if I'm buying it, like, am I going to be able to, I hate to say it, but I generally, and again, this is the wrong, I'm not looking to, not as an investment, but I want at least that it'll preserve, it's not going to lose money, it's going to preserve cap. Like, Rolex traditionally, back in the day, you bought your used Rolex or whatever was like a big discount from the retail price, and you hold the watch for 5 years, and they increase in value about 5% a year because the way the Swiss are, they're like calculators. They everything they increase 5, 3, whatever the number, they constantly increase. Oh, the inflation is up. We're gonna, they're very, very good at that. So basically, the watches, if it's a good watch, generally they'll keep up with inflation. They maintain value. So, generally when I've bought watches, I have an eye on, hey, is this thing gonna potentially at least get my money back or whatever? Because I don't want to put 10 grand into a watch or more, and all of a sudden it's a year, 2 years later, it's worth half of that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not. I can't afford to do that. And also, it lets me look, it lets me justify buying a certain watch because I can say, okay, look, I have money tied up in this, but you know what? Look, it's better than keeping it in the bank. Like, I'm buying this watch for, 10 grand, 15 grand, it's going to compound to 5% a year, and it's better than money in the bank. Maybe it could do better, right? Some watches have done very well, right? So anyway, the focus of the channel is, focusing on like, kind of more serious watches, kind of like, but with a focus on, okay, that market focus. Like, so, we don't really, we don't do like videos about so much the horology, the mechanics, the complicated. I mean, that's interesting, but it's more about like, I don't know, different, because look, people at the end of the day, I think most collectors, they're buying a watch because it's beautiful. It's the aesthetics, right? It's the aesthetics. They're not thinking about the movement, right? It's like, when you met your wife, I don't think you were thinking, oh, is she a good cook, right? I mean, I don't think you were thinking that. You know what I mean?
That was one of my first thoughts, yeah.
that you cook and clean. I mean, and by the way, and those things are important, right? They are important. But no, the aesthetics is the most important. So, the design has to be, to me, the good design, the movement then. But, the brands we talk about on the channel is usually like, we do actually a lot of vintage. I'm a fan of vintage, like neo-vintage stuff. Vintage meaning like 50s onwards. I'm a big fan of 60s and 70s watches, nice. 1970s era. Because I think people were much more adventurous then. The 60s and 70s.
Oh, yeah.
You had that kind of, much more adventurous design, that space age era. You had, today these brands are much more, I hate to use the word, but they're much more corporate. They're much more, they got accountants making decisions in most of these places.
Well, most of them are sold out to the big conglomerates now. So they have.
Yeah, they can't. They're not taking risks. Nobody's really taking risks now. So there's very few modern watches that I find, interesting. I mean, look, like F. Pigeon is very interesting. There's a brand called, you probably saw this, Simone Brett, the French guy, Simone Brett. Have you seen that?
A young kid.
Yeah, young guy. I think he's the next F. Pigeon. There's a couple of things out there I think are very interesting. Like MB&F does these very interesting watches.
Yeah.
But personally, I'm not a buyer of those watches because the kind of I look at those as like, they're very expensive. You're taking also much more of a risk. They're unknown quantities still.
Yeah.
It's sort of like buying living contemporary art, right? There's a big difference between buying Picasso, which, there's a market track record, auction records, whatever, or, a guy who, he just got out of art school and he has this, has his first gallery show. That's a big difference, right? Big risk, right? How many of those guys? It's a whole thing. So, because the problem with these independents is they're still very early, like a Simone Brett or even an MB&F. They're only as good as their last watch, right? Like if they have a couple of watches that are duds, the brand goes downhill, right? Patek can put out duds all the time, and but they have such a long reputation and they have sources that they can cover over any mistakes. It's easy for them to survive mistakes. So, by the way, Matthew, what's funny? It's funny. It's funny actually. I just realized what you did. You pulled a trick on me. It's almost like you're like an artist doing a portrait. You're like a portrait, and like you're getting the guy to talk. They're like fill time. Like, and now I feel like shit. I'm like. I'm getting entertainment value. This is probably like when you report these things are real, like you get them to start talking and they feel, oh shit, they're talking about themselves, right? People love to talk about themselves.
Oh yeah, we all do.
And wow, this guy's fascinating. Matthew is a fascinating guy because we talked about a fascinating subject myself. No, that's oh my god. No, this is interesting. So. Have you done live portraits of people? Like, do you do portraits of people like with their watch? Kind of, you do that?
Yeah, I have done that. I'm trying to think if I have like a live portrait of. Yeah, I did actually at Dubai Watch Week, last November. Oh wow, that was almost a year ago. I really can't fathom that. I was doing portraits of people with their watches. I'm gonna actually see if I can pull this up. I don't remember where
I see on your Instagram you had a couple portraits, but this was oh yeah, here we go. Okay, you got one with Steve McQueen.
Oh yeah, that was a client who wanted yeah.
What is this all about? I didn't understand this. What is going on here? You got Steve McQueen and you got a Crevia, which is a model, like a independent that's like
this guy, awesome guy. He was getting in a Crevia. And he was like, well, I think Steve McQueen would wear this watch. So I want a portrait of Steve McQueen with the watch and the watch portrait in the background. It was a really cool project.
That's crazy.
Uh,
Okay, I
yeah.
get it. I get it. Okay, so okay, so that's pretty crazy because again, this is like this brand is I mean, what is it, relatively new? This is like Steve McQueen died 50 years ago, basically 40 years,
Yeah.
1980 or something, right?
Yeah.
And this is like years. This is like one of the okay. So you got Steve McQueen. This is like he's dressed up like what's that movie? The famous movie he was in. What the hell is that? The shit where he's oh my god. Where he's
I'm looking
driving
at a
the
bit of a
Rolls.
lot.
Uh, what's the movie? The one where he's pulling off the heist and the art thing. He's switching the pay. Shit. They made a remake of it. And in this movie, he's driving the Rolls coupe. This is like a 1967 movie, I think.
Yeah.
He's wearing the suit.
I really wouldn't know, unfortunately. Did a bit of research to get the right portraiture, but yeah, his movies, if I'm being honest, I don't think I know any of them.
Oh my god! But how did you get that? Because this is basically that's the look from this movie.
It's either he may have just sent me a photo. He's like, I want like the shot of him in this position. I don't remember exactly.
Okay. That's exactly, but it's very it looks like something from the set almost. It's like a very,
Nice.
he's got the cigar. I'm trying to think, what's the name of the movie? If anybody's watching, I don't know if anybody in the audience, but this is that was a great. Now, how long did it take you to do this, Steve McQueen?
The McQueen one was weeks and weeks. I mean, sometimes that's because it's negotiation. Like, I want to paint it like this. Oh no, can you change this aspect of it?
What is that? What are you showing us? What is this? What is this on your phone?
So this was from a watch event at Dubai Watch Week. So it's
this is the guy. Oh, it's him and his watch.
So it's just a few from that night. So I think I was there with Frederic Constant. So it's all Frederic Constant watches.
Okay.
With different people.
Okay. Wow. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, what an interesting juxtaposition. Steve McQueen and a Crevia watch. This is like, we know him for the Rolex, the Daytona, right? This is not the Daytona, what the hell is it, the Tag Heuer or whatever. But this is like, wow, what a crazy composite.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that one was pretty cool.
So I'm assuming this. So this guy has he has an Acrivia, basically. I'm assuming, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess I never saw. I think he's posted it. But yeah.
Oh, there he is. Okay, this is the guy. Okay, there it is. This is the.
Yeah, he hadn't received his watch yet.
So he's got he's got that as his avatar. That painting of McQueen. Oh my god! Good. Oh, this guy's got some serious watches. He's got serious. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Yeah. Let's go back. Let's jump back to. Let's jump back. Oh, it's interesting. So this guy that you did the Acrivia painting for, he's basically. He's got independent brands. He's got some like kind of vintage. He's got a variety. He's not just buying like modern hype stuff.
Oh yeah, he goes deep.
Okay, there we go. All right.
Yeah, that was one of the more esoteric watch painting that I've done, having a Steve McQueen portrait with the Acrivia.
No, I mean it's completely unexpected. I mean it's totally different than anything you've done before. I don't know. I don't because
pushed me out of my not my comfort zone, but it just like changed my approach.
Yeah, but listen, the McQueen. I think McQueen would have loved that painting. I mean, you really captured his essence.
That's what I like to think. You never know. People can get very confusing about their portraits. Some people don't like the way they look, so if they see images of themselves. But I bet McQueen was okay with seeing photos of himself.
The movie was called The Thomas Crown Affair.
Oh, wait. Thomas Crown Affair. Oh, because I was done with James
There was a
Bond.
remake. Yeah, there was a remake with a James Bond guy, but McQueen was the.
That was the original, really.
Yeah,
Oh, now I
yeah.
need to see that because I like the remake. Now that's
Hang on a second.
interesting.
Hang on a second. I'm going to pull up some images. Hang on a second. I'm going to pull up the
Okay.
images here. Hang on. I'm going to do. That's so funny. I mean, you did this great painting of him, and you haven't seen this. That's crazy. Hang on. Let me see. Let me see if I can pull up these.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is okay. We got McQueen from the Thomas Crown Affair. There he is. Is that on the screen?
Yeah, it's right there.
Yeah. So look at this. Very dapper, you know?
Huh.
There we go.
I
Oh no, it didn't show. Okay. Hang on. Let me see. Let's see. He's got I noticed you had an umbrella. Oh no, this is something else. Yeah, I guess there was an umbrella in there because your image has an umbrella. I remember seeing that. What is this? But yeah, so this is in the. Oh wait, hang on a second. This. He's got the cigar. Okay, interesting. Because I remember the cigar, the whole thing. It's
yeah.
That was a great movie. It was.
Now I need to go back and watch it. Yeah, I like the one with the guy who played James Bond. I can't remember his name.
The English guy. What the hell? Shit. I don't know. Yeah, no, but McQueen really.
Yeah.
Yeah. Two very different approaches, though. Two very different, like completely different.
Okay. I have to imagine.
Yeah. Completely different. Yeah, it's completely. I mean, it's interesting. You got to see both movies, basically.
Yeah, I have never seen a Steve McQueen movie, and once I do something long enough, I like to keep the streak going. But maybe I'll break it so I can see the Thomas Crown Affair, the original.
Yeah. No, it's a good one. Hang on a second. Let me just pull back to. So what are the brands? So when the brands hire you, what do they use? They use your art for like online content, or what do they use it for?
Yeah, usually it's all create video content of the process, and then it'll be used across social media for promoting the watch. Yeah,
and you also said a third of your clients are also watch dealers that kind of what do? They commission watch portraits for a special client.
Really. Yeah, it's usually as like a gift or an incentive for clients.
Okay, that's very smart. So there's a lot of guys who do that. Like I'm curious. Can you name who does that? Because that's a very nice touch. That's like that's a high level touch. I mean, because
it's a high level touch. I don't have any specific permissions. I don't know if anybody would be mad, but I'm not going to share just because I don't know.
We're not going to because listen, it's a very, very good client. That's good customer service. That's a really Okay, so I'm assuming when these guys are commissioning something for one of their clients, it's a guy who's probably bought like 7 figures worth of watches, right? Like, and it's a portrait of like a Journe or whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, I've done De Bethune, a Crevia, a lot of Journe. Things along those lines for sure.
De Bethune. Okay, I think I know who one of your clients is then. If it's De Bethune. We know who the De Bethune fans are. We know who the big.
I'm not sure I know who this. I feel like.
And by the way, they are excellent at marketing. Excellent.
Oh yeah, they are for sure.
They're more. I mean, their whole thing is like levels above because look, I think the problem in the watch dealing space, the used watch market, most of it is like 99%, 98% of it is it's kind of like used car dealers, right? I mean, well, it's basically used car dealers, right? But these guys do it at a very at a high level, at a very,
Yeah.
they do it in a very high touch. I mean, with the lounges and all that.
Yeah.
It's impressive. I mean, they do it in a very, they know how to cater to the customer in a professional manner.
In a
Uh,
way that I wish I knew.
yeah, me too. Me too. I'm not nobody. I was never invited to any FP Journe events. I don't know. I'm not on the invite list for some reason.
Well, if I wasn't entertaining, then I wouldn't have been invited either.
Okay. Oh, we got some color there. Okay, we got some orange. Okay, we got the okay. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, got a little bit in the
Uh,
sky. Yeah, I have not painted one or done one quite like this. I like where it's at. This is kind of fun.
and you left a couple things to the imagination. You left a couple things. It's
Yeah.
like unfinished. I actually find these unfinished paintings. Sometimes you see these unfinished paintings from artists, and they're really great because it lets you kind of lets your mind kind of fill in the blanks of what could have been, or what's it's like half paint. This is it gives you the essence, right?
There we go.
There we go. Jerry Liebowitz saying you're the Edward Hopper. Oh wow, the Edward Hopper of the wristwatch. High level compliment there. The Edward Hopper is also a guy who knew how to create a mood.
Can't be mad at that. There's I mean, Edward Hopper. If you go to my website right now, I think it's still up. I have a whole series of fashion illustrations that were initially done for a client, and they're up there. Okay, very Edward Hopper inspired.
Wait, what's your website? Is it Sunflowerman? Oh, sunflowerman.com?
Sunflowerman.com. Easy.
Okay. Here we go. Sunflowerman. Hang on. We got the Sunflowerman website. Okay. Okay. So this is one of your. Oh, look at this. This is a sharp pinstripe suit over there with a flannel. Look at this.
We do it right.
The flannel. It's got the
chronograph. When I'm prepping the studio, it's got to look good.
I want to ask you a question. Do you paint? Fully suited up?
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's a good touch. Really, that's a good touch. Mm-hmm. That's a very old world. Back. You see paint. You see these films of guys. Painting, and they were like. Or even Basquiat. Basquiat was painting in Armani suits.
Yeah. Yves Klein. Yeah. Doing his abstract work in suits. I mean, they looked good.
Basquiat, now hold on a second, but do you get paint on your suits? Because Basquiat's suits were covered with paint.
Oh no, I hate the mess. I'm a very clean painter. I was just in Vegas doing a mural at an event, and that's acrylics.
You were here, and I was out of town. I missed you.
Yeah. And no, I don't get paint on myself. Very clean painter, very efficient painter. Let's say that.
Look at this, and you're wearing gloves. I see you're wearing gloves when you're hanging up the art. Those are gloves. Look at this. I mean, this is very professional. Look at this.
Mm-hmm. You'll get the Hopper inspiration in the backgrounds of some of these.
Here we go. Right there. There we go.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. Hickey Freeman. That's very appropriate because for an American brand, you got the Hopper thing. You got the Hopper vibe.
It fit really well. That was a fun experiment in another artist's style. So I kind of used the backdrop and felt very Hopper. I created these.
Wow.
They're all fake. They're all fake, like cityscapes. They're not real places in any way.
It's like a little bit of a De Chirico thing. A little bit of a.
Oh wow! Oh, I didn't think about that. That actually is maybe even a
little bit. No, a little bit.
Yeah, I see it for sure.
I think it's the colors. The kind of the yellows and the greens.
A little garish.
The whole This is cool. This is cool. Oh man! So were these done for a client? Were these done for? Okay.
Yeah, so these were done for a client initially. So then I keep the originals. I use it for mostly in-house stuff like hang tags and brochures, etc.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Okay. No, this is great. This is great. Hang on a second. Let me get back to your. Okay, so we got the watch. So that's it. The watch is done. The watch is done. I mean, the painting is finished.
I think the painting is finished. I think
We're gonna leave it as is.
Be what
We're
it
gonna
is,
leave.
yeah.
Okay. Matthew, let's get the camera back on you so we can wrap up.
Oh yeah, let's talk to me. Well, I might be able to just flip this around now. Now that I'm done with the painting part, let's see what happens. Hey.
Okay, there we are. Okay, you got the hat. You got the hat now. Now, how many of these hats do you have? I think you got a lot of hats, no?
I have a handful. I have a handful of hats. I don't need a lot. I started growing my hair out, and so then the fits changed pretty dramatically.
Oh, yeah, that happened. Yeah. Okay. So Matthew, so to wrap up, okay. So for people to contact you if they want to commission a painting, and again, you'll paint any watch, right? You're not, it doesn't have to be a Journe. It could be their grandfather's Timex that they wore in Vietnam.
Yeah, I mean, if it's like a Timex, I think a story is important. I want a story to go with them if I'm going to paint it. If it has something like an FP Journe, I don't necessarily care about the story, because the watch itself has so much story. A Timex has a lot of history, but I might not want to paint it unless it has another story attached to it, like a grandfather's watch. Yeah.
Okay, so to contact you, they go to Instagram, Sunflowerman, which is right there. Also, sunflowerman.com, sunflowerman.com. And now, okay, so are you going to be doing any events where people could meet you? Are you getting any watch events coming up or anything on the calendar?
I have an event in Colorado.
Okay.
I think it's a private event.
Okay.
Yeah. Unfortunately, a lot of the events I end up doing are private events.
They're high-end events. They're very high-end events.
Yeah. So
where is this? It looks like an Aspen or something.
Oh, I wish. I love Aspen, actually. Or Basalt. I think Basalt is where I've stayed.
Okay.
Not actually in Aspen. I don't have the Aspen money. I have the Basalt money.
Close enough.
Nice little town, actually. Great bagels over there.
Yeah.
In Basalt. But yeah, it'll be in Denver, so it'll be out there in Denver, Colorado, and there's some good groups out there. And hopefully, I'll be in New York and talking to a couple people. So if those are public, I'll be talking about that on stories on the watch account.
Okay, fantastic. Okay,
oh,
Matthew,
I paint live every Saturday at the Watch Preserve here in Fort Worth, Texas. I don't know what that's about mine.
The what preserve? The what preserve?
Yeah. So the Watch Preserve is a local brick and mortar that they also sell on eBay, but they do all secondhand watch sales, largely.
Oh, okay. It's a deal. It's a dealer. It's a watch dealer. Watch Preserve.
Yeah. The Watch Preserve.
In Fort Worth. Every Saturday. You're there every Saturday painting live.
Saturday in town. I'm at the Watch Preserve. Yeah, 12 to 3.
Okay, and you're painting what you paint like kind of the quick sketches we saw, like with the people give you the watch, you paint that, or the whole
more like I gotta put the gloves on because
there's a lot of collectors in Texas, big watch community in Texas, Dallas, Fort Worth.
What's crazy about Fort Worth is people are very quiet about anything they buy. It's a very quiet town in the sense like nobody shows off their wealth. So it's hard to find the collectors, but once my friend opened up a shop, they're all coming out. I'm meeting everybody now. It's actually amazing because now people have a place to gather, which they never had before. I'm very passionate about it because I'm very happy that he's doing it. But things like this,
look at that. Okay.
So this is part of the Sauvage series. So I'll prep it in the studio and then I'll do all of the actual painting live in shop. So in about 3 hours, it's completed.
Wow.
So I did a whole series on the Speedmaster.
Okay.
Let's see. I think I have actually that particularly the Ellipse was actually painted at the Watch Preserve.
Yeah, this is great. Now hold on a second. Are these now the Watch Preserve? What kind of watches do they sell there?
So it's all secondhand, but it's typically we're talking middle of the range, or
Okay.
So you're usually like anywhere from like $50 to $5,000. They will
Okay.
do
Okay.
more, but their space in the market is finding uh, watches in that middle range, really, because
Okay.
everybody else is
Like it could be
like
Like a Hamilton or something. It could be like
Hamilton,
okay.
yeah, Accutron, Longines,
Okay.
Omega. They'll love to sell Rolex because people always buy those up. But yeah,
Yeah.
they have some cool esoteric watches that they
Okay.
find.
Collector watches, basically. They're like collector type watch. Okay. Okay. Okay.
Collector type watches,
Interesting.
but even just things that people want to come out of the from wherever they want. They just want to buy a watch, right? Oh, come to the
Yeah.
watch store. You can get great watches for a great price. Yeah, and they love watches. Nick is like the top sales guy, or Nick is the owner, and then Michael's the top sales guy, and they will just talk to you about watches endlessly. The amount of knowledge they have is stupid. So it's great for me because I get an education while I'm there.
So
Then I also get
you're gonna be there. You're gonna be there this tomorrow. You're gonna be there.
tomorrow. Yeah, I'll be there tomorrow.
Okay.
12
Okay.
to 3.
Excellent.
Yep.
Okay. 12 to 3. Okay, Matthew. Again, thank you very much. Hopefully, we'll catch up with you.
Thank you.
And yeah, maybe we can work on an interesting project. So I have some ideas. I have some ideas I want to contact you with.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you again. Thank you everybody for joining us. We'll see you on the next one. Thank you again, Matthew.